It's not the government's job to tell your business what it can and can't do, and if it may be even open, and tell employees if you can go to work. You can't go to work for a private owner. Well, why not? What harm does that have? Oh, you might get someone sick. Just like the mask thing, right? Oh, just by virtue of breathing, you're a danger to every other human being. So you must wear a mask to protect them from you. That's not right. You shouldn't have to quarantine yourself in any way on the off chance you might be sick. Because if that's the standard, where does it end? Well, you might have HIV. You might have Ebola. Right? Oh, no, that's not possible, right? You can't have Ebola. That's hyperbole. Well, get this. This isn't a bullshit answer or statement. People occasionally go in the woods, play with some dead animal, and get bubonic plague. The plague still comes back every now and again. So you start opening up things to the what possible realms, the realm of all possibility, what could possibly ever happen and go wrong. It's endless. Insurance companies have actuary tables that tell you all the different things that could possibly happen to a human being and the chances of surviving it, the chances of dying, all that. Okay, there's an insane amount of things out there that we do every day that do not have a 99.9 or 0.8% survivability rating. And to be fair, and honest, I don't care. I don't care what that mortality rate actually is, because that has no bearing on whether or not I should have the choice to live my life. To me, the government's proper response should have been at the beginning, because at the beginning, they lied. The information being put out there was a 5% mortality rate was very possible. And that came from where? A UK study in which it was stated in the study that as worst case scenario, if people don't do basic things like wash their hands, disinfect their area, and cough into their elbow, things we teach small children to do, things most reasonable people would do. And if you simply said, wash your hands a little more, most people would. Keep the bathrooms a little cleaner. Most people will. Businesses are more than happy to comply with reasonable requests. And most businesses, obviously, are going to see the benefit in that. Well, gee, I'm not going to keep my bathrooms dirty. I'm not going to tell my employees not to wash their hands more. I'm not screw putting up more hand sanitizer stations because I want an outbreak in my town. No, they have every reason to do things to prevent people, especially their own employees, from getting sick. One, just from liability reasons. But two, you can't make money if you're closed. Now, everyone hates business. Okay, people who are successful, who chase down that profit motive. But you know what? That profit motive is a strong incentive to do the right thing. Rational people, really successful people tend to be rational. Okay, you don't become successful and stay that way on accident. You could get lucky and come into some cash, but if you're not a rational human being, chances are you and that cash are certainly going to part ways pretty soon. So let's stop pretending like business owners are all, I'm sure there are a few that are, but most are long-range thinkers. Most are not short-term thinkers who are just going to sit there and try to get some cash in the short term and go, I'm not worried about, everyone getting sick. No, they're going to do the right thing. And like I said, a lot of businesses were already doing what? They're already talking about doing the social distancing for people who had to be in the office. Anyone who didn't have to be there who could work from home, they were already doing that. They didn't need the government to tell them to do that. There was no need to shut down all these businesses. What's the difference between Walmart and JCPenney? What makes JCPenney any less essential? Well, they don't sell food. Well, you know who they're essential to? Well, who JCPenney was essential to? Well, one, all the consumers that enjoy going to that store and buying clothes from there, but the employees who work there from every level, from the people who clean the bathrooms to the people who run the cash register, stock the shelves, all the way up to the CEO. It's pretty essential to them. they don't count, right? Because it's for the greater good, right? Just shut up and wear your mask. It's for the greater good. You could get somebody sick. Now, it would be more than understandable if I tested positive for COVID-19, okay, for me to stay home, be told, you have to quarantine. And since we know you're going to be home, that your family, around your family, and the nature of this disease is such that they're probably going to be exposed to it, therefore, they must quarantine. That's acceptable. If I'm known to have the disease, I should have to stay home. Sure, do all the contact tracing you want. Make sure everyone knows that, I got COVID-19, or at least that someone they were in direct contact with had COVID-19. You don't even have to say it was me. And then do what? I stay home. Now, if I decide to go around town and gallivant around like Christopher Cuomo did when he was claiming he had COVID-19, and then someone gets sick due to contact with me, now you can make the argument that I should be open to civil and criminal prosecution. And that's okay. Because you get you knowingly are sick with something, and you then get someone else sick, who didn't know, who didn't have a choice to be around you since they didn't even know you were sick. Well, then, yeah, you've used force on them. Right? Because you've exposed them to the physical contaminants floating around your body. Right? Now you got them sick. So now you're liable for that. More than happy to accept that. I'm not willing to accept the government forcing businesses to put out mandates on behalf of, say, Governor Cuomo, who can do this unilaterally because the state legislature gave him ultimate authority. And what authority do they have to do that? They shouldn't have any. There should be no special powers, no special ability for the government to cut through red tape, to do what has to be done. If you need to cut through the red tape, right? That red tape that exists, then it shouldn't be there. I mean, that's what killed a lot of people right at the beginning, right? And got a lot of people sick, was not having enough personal protective equipment. Why? Because of bureaucratic red tape. One, testing, right? Because the tests the CDC had were faulty. But government regulations prevented anyone from going to outside sources or developing their own. They had to get them from the CDC, or at least from the federal government, right? So that red tape had to be cut. 3M had untold numbers. What was it? Thousands upon thousands of masks. N95 masks sitting around in warehouses they couldn't sell. Why? Because they didn't have the FDA stamp saying they're medical devices. That red tape had to get cut. And before I go on, those masks have the exact same certification as N95 masks as their medical version did. It was like a slight difference, like a face shield or some bullshit. But the actual part where it actually filters out the particulates, those standards were exactly the same. And 3M should not have to go through the government to sell that to a hospital. All they need to do is say what this product is rated at, what their testing is, and what it's supposed to be good for. Let the hospitals decide if it's something that's necessary, especially in an emergency situation where they need everything they can get their hands on. Now, if 3M starts selling substandard products, well, we already have laws for that. Okay? There's all manner of mechanisms to deal with companies that engage in fraud. That's what that would be. If you lie about what your product does, that's a form of fraud. We have laws that help people, protect you from that. And there's all kinds of civil litigation that can be done to go after them and be compensated for that. Now, I'm sure there's criminal avenues as well.